So the ending to my holiday, I know it's what you have been waiting for. Probably one of the most adventurous and exciting adventures that I have had while I've been here in Sydney. So I got the opportunity to end my holiday by going to Melbourne and going to the Australian Open. So those of you that know me know I played tennis in high school. So I have always had a passion and love for the sport and had always wanted to go to a major competition, but didn't really want to go all the way to New York because that's the closest one there in the US. And all the other ones, like Wimbledon, are clearly not in the US. But since I was only about an hour plane ride away, I wanted to go to the Australian Open so bad. So thankfully, my host family let me get away for the weekend, and I got a chance to go. So my first day, I showed up to, it's this area where I believe the Olympics were held, or it's kind of like their giant sports complex area in Melbourne. And they have over 25 tennis courts, which is insane because I can't even wrap my mind around that many tennis courts, to be completely honest. But, so they have a bunch of tennis courts there. Once I arrived, the first thing I wanted to do was see who was practicing. So, all of the athletes have certain times they can sign up for to practice on the courts, and you can go watch. So, I saw a Williams sister was practicing on the schedule, so I quickly ran to the court and saw Venus Williams practicing, which was so cool. And she's super tall compared to what I thought she was going to be. And I also saw an American, I believe his name is John Isner. He's out of the competition now, but I got to see him. He's super tall. And then I looked at the schedule again, and oh, hey, Rafael Nadal, the #1 tennis player in the world right now, is practicing on this court. So I waited in the heat for probably about an hour and a half in the second row of people to try and see a glimpse of Nadal. And so he came in, there were so many people there, but he came in and I got to watch an hour of his practice, hitting balls back and forth, serving, volleying, all of these really cool things. And that was the highlight of my day for sure. That was so cool to see. And then from there, I kind of just made my way around. Didn't really watch too many matches. Just because in the heat, you get really tired really fast. But that was super cool to see Nadal that day. I was amazed to get to see that opportunity. So then the second day, knowing that I knew these things about their practices, I looked at the list and tried to figure out which ones I wanted to see. So that day I saw that Novak Djokovic, my favorite tennis player, was going to be practicing on the court. So I strategically planned out my day around that by getting some lunch and making sure that I was in the right place at the right time, like an hour and a half before his scheduled practice, because I knew it was going to fill up real fast because he's the #2 tennis player in the world. So it's kind of a big deal. So I finally made my way there and got a front row seat, waited in the heat. It was so hot. I was dripping in sweat. Probably too much information, but I don't care. And then Novak Djokovic finally walked out, and it was probably one of the most shocking moments in my life just to like see him on TV and then see him in real life. It was just so cool. And so I got to watch him practice and serve and volley and all these really cool things right up close, which was so cool. I love him, and you'll see why in the next day. But then that day, just walked around some more, went to the shops and things that are there. Saw Rod Laver, which is a big all-time tennis player. They actually have the big stadium there named after him, so that was really cool to get to see. And then I think I just watched a few more matches. Actually, while Djokovic was finishing his practice, Roger Federer was starting practice on the other side, so I got to see a glimpse of Federer, but, I mean, I don't like him as much as some of my other players, so I wasn't too sad when I didn't get a chance to see him. So then the next day, I actually had court passes to one of the stadiums. So the first 2 days were just a grounds pass, so I didn't have access to the big arenas. but the second day I did. But I also saw on the practice sheet that Novak Djokovic was practicing again. And he's so cool, and how many opportunities do you get for that? So I went to his practice again because I was only missing a doubles match, which that's not really interesting to me. So I went to Djokovic's practice again, waited in the heat for about an hour and a half, dripping in sweat, and got to watch him serve and volley and do things. He didn't have as long of a practice since he was playing that night. But so at the end of a practice, these athletes can come and sign things and take pictures with the people for as long as they want, usually not very long. So you only get certain opportunities. And I had tried the day before, but I clearly was on the wrong side. So this time, I made sure I was on the correct side. But the coolest thing that happened to me was, while Novak was going down the line signing things, I was going to try and get a selfie with him because I would have been completely happy with that. And then I saw he was signing his sweatband. And right away I'm like, can I have it? Like, Novak, can I have it? And he actually handed it right to me, which I was like shaking and in shock. I'm pretty sure I was like, thank you. Being the fangirl that I was. And so I took his armband and I was just so excited about it. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is disgusting, because he was just sweating all over it and like it was drenched in sweat, but it was Novak Djokovic's sweat. So seriously, how can you complain about that? That's so cool. And so I got a sweatband and I quickly put it in a bag and put it in my purse because like I didn't want anybody seeing it or taking it from me. I called my mom right away, like, Mom, guess what? So that was really cool. That definitely was a highlight of my day. So now I want him to win the tournament. So let's hope he does, because he is clearly one of my favorite players. So then I just walked around some more, saw Coco Gauff, who is a 15-year-old tennis player, and then went to my stadium seats where I watched a Canadian by the name of Milos play some other person, I think by the name of Chilik, something like that. But that was a really good match. They were very good. The guy could serve like almost 140 miles per hour, which is insane. I am still blown away by that. I can't even wrap my mind around serving a ball that fast, but that was so cool. He got over 34 aces. But the sad thing is, last night he actually lost to Novak Djokovic, so it's not that sad though, because it's Novak Djokovic, and we all know why I like him right now. So it was really cool to get a chance to see all these players, and I made sure that I was taking pictures of so many players because I didn't know who they were at the time, but who knows, they might win the whole thing. They might be the next Novak Djokovic or the next Federer. You never know. So that was really cool. Had a blast, and then that night went right to the airport and came back home. And it's kind of been a boring week of back in routine. The kids just started school today. So here we go. Next term, and in 10 weeks I will be home, which is crazy because I feel like I was just vlogging about like week 5, and here we are like week 16, week 17. Like, that's insane. I honestly only have like 4 or 5 more vlogs in me, depending on what I do the next couple weeks. So stay with me, guys, because next thing you know, I'll be back in the States. Thanks for watching again, and I hope you enjoyed my exciting tennis excursion.